All right, you guys, today I'm going to be showing you guys what I look for when I buy a used RC car. Now, some of you guys that's been following the channel, you guys know I love buying used RC cars. It's just as good as buying new ones. It's like Christmas either way. So now this video is for beginners, you know, just getting into the hobby, and they don't want to spend a lot of money on a new one, so they want to you look for a used one. And since they're getting into it fresh, and they don't want to be invested in a lot of money like some of us guys are, so this video is for them, you know, not for us advanced guys that's been in the hobby for a while. But I did want to do this video, you guys. I wanted to put this out, let everybody know what they need to be looking for when they buy a used RC car. And today I have my used XRT. Bought this used, love this car, you guys. I actually got another XRT. It's the XRT Ultimate Edition. It's brand new. I actually unboxed it a while ago, probably 3 weeks ago or so. So if you guys want to look at that video, check it out. I'll probably put a little card up here in the corner. You guys can check that out. And but yeah, we're gonna use this one. And if you guys want to know what I look for when I buy a used RC car, stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing that I do, you guys, when I go buy a used RC car is you want to ask if you can drive it. So that's very important. You want to be able to power the car up, make sure the electronics are turning on, and you want to start driving it. So there's a couple things you're gonna know right off the bat when you're driving the RC car. Does it have enough power or not? Does it have good power? Is the steering working good? Is the servos strong enough? Because believe it or not, you guys, these servos, even though if you got a strong servo in one of these, they will weaken over time. And then eventually you're gonna have to buy a new servo. So a strong servo or not, they weaken. You want to look at the servo, see how it's performing. Same as the power, the motor can wear down. You start losing power out of the motor. You also, when you're driving the car, you want to look at the suspension, make sure it's operating with the car as it should. You know, is the car riding right? Is making sure the shocks are not sticking on it? You know, stuff like that. So that tells you a lot, you guys, when you first just power the car on and start driving it around. So say you're driving around, everything's good. Everything looks good so far. So you want to go ahead, start looking on the outside of the car. I start with the body, of course. The first thing that I look at is cracks. That's very important. You know, scuffs and scrapes, that's going to be common. You're buying a used car, RC car, you're going to have scuffs and scrapes and dings and stuff. I look for cracks first, and then I look at the plastics on the outside. You know, all these plastics here, you know, how bad are they, how wore are they? That also tells you how much the car has been on its lid or how much it's been driven. You know, determines on how much wear is on the plastics on the body. And then you want to look at the mounting hardware on the inside of the body. Make sure nothing's broke or cracked or anything like that. So say you got a good body, you're happy with it, it's good enough, you want to go on to the car now. Okay, so first thing I check is I check the tires and the wheels. So I usually go from the outside and go in. You know, I want to check all the foams on the tires, right? You want to check the foams, make sure they're all good. There's no flat spots or the foams aren't worn in there or anything like that. And then you want to check the wheels inside and out for cracks. That's the major thing that you want to check is cracks in the wheels or anywhere. So if everything's good there, go ahead and start checking your A-arms, your suspension. You want to check all the suspension on the car. Make sure nothing's cracked or broke on the suspension arms, upper and lower if they got upper and lowers. Make sure none of the drive shafts are bent or CVDs or dog bones. Check those out, make sure they're not bent. Just make sure, you guys, these suspension arms are good here. Drive shaft that runs in here, make sure these aren't bent. The shock shafts aren't bent. Make sure they're not leaking. The shocks are not leaking. You want to kind of look over the chassis, make sure there's no cracks anywhere. Look for any loose bolts or nuts or anything like that, that's not really a big issue. So, and then you want to look underneath the car, you guys. Check the A-arms out, make sure they're good. Make sure the chassis has no stress marks, stress cracks, or anything on it. I mean, as you can see, this got a chunk out of this center skid plate, which this is not a big deal. It's a cheap part. I had no issue buying the car. These skid plates aren't too bad when it comes to replacing them. Look at your hinge pins. All your hinge pins, make sure they're all there. Nothing's cracked in the hinge pin area. And then sometimes, you may be able to look into the drivetrain, the pinion and spur, make sure everything looks good in there. The mesh is good. The pinion's not loose or anything like that, some things can be fixed really quick like that, right on the fly. But that's it, you guys. It's really simple. Those are really the main things I look for. Oh, there's another thing, the drive shaft. Look at the drive shaft, you guys, make sure it's not bent. Along with the CVDs or the dog bones, the drive shaft is very important, especially when you're looking at an X-Max or an XRT. Any car really, but those drive shafts tend to want to bend pretty easy. So any RC car, if it's an aluminum drive shaft or a steel drive shaft, just look at it, make sure they're not bent. All right, so that's it, you guys. Pretty simple. You don't want to overcomplicate it too much. You don't want to stay there too long and you start irritating the seller. And then that could be a bad thing. He may just say, no, I don't want to sell it to you, because I've had some sellers get irritated because I'm looking over the car too good. But also I want to talk about negotiation. So depending on what things are broke, or depending on how much wear is on the car, you do have good buying power that way. So don't be afraid if there is some damage on these RC cars, because that actually gives you good buying power. Some of these parts are easy to fix. A lot of them are cheap. Really, the electronics and the body and the wheels and tires are probably the most expensive things on these RC cars. Everything else can be bought cheap or replaced. So you can really negotiate when it comes to things being tore up or needing replaced. So don't be afraid of that. Don't let that cause you not to want the car, because you can actually get it for really dirt cheap. If you show the seller all the issues and he understands those issues, you can get that thing for a good deal. So that's it, you guys. I appreciate you watching. Hope the video helps. And we'll see you on the next one.